Okay, so standing here making this video with the camera on the back of my truck, and I look over and there's a guy walking up my driveway. He's walking out now. Just stopped to ask me, what's in the area here. He'd never been on this road before. Kind of strange. Anyway, where was I at? I was talking about this pipe, the Benton Select, which had quite a few filled pits in it. It also has lovely grain. And I picked those pits out. And this is one of those pipes that I have carried and smoked just about everywhere I've been. And it's funny because I'm pretty picky about bits. And this one doesn't have a good one. There's not much of a lip there. And it's kind of hard to hold. I really have to clench it. And I never use softy bits, ever. I've tried them and I don't like them. They make me gag. It just doesn't work for me. And besides, I kind of like leaving teeth marks on my pipes. And I don't own any high-grade pipes anymore, so I'm not concerned about resale value. My pipes are with me to stay. Anyway, this one's been a great comfort to me many times. I've sat down and smoked this pipe in some pretty tight situations and some pretty gut-wrenching situations. And in fact, the time that I picked all those fills out of there with the tip of my pocket knife, I was sitting outside of a hospital that my grandmother was in, and things were looking pretty rough at the time. She's died since then, but I remember the whole family was feeling pretty stressed out. It seemed like everyone that came to the hospital was very upset, and it was just a little bit too much for me. So I went outside and watched the cars drive by and smoked my pipe and thought about it and got my head straight and picked those fills out of there. This pipe was also with me in France, and it's been on many of my major adventures. I think I picked it up around 2005. Yeah, and it smokes great, comfortable in the hand, and even though the bit is not great, I continue to smoke it. I continue to carry it. It just doesn't clench right, but what the hell. And I wouldn't have another stem made for it either. Anyway, so I'll definitely be keeping that one out. Rides in my pocket quite often. This one is a Yellow Bowl Aristocrat, and this is my beater pipe. This is the pipe I smoke when I'm painting or if I'm not smoking a cob anyway. Smoke this when I'm painting or doing woodwork, or it's the one I don't care about dropping on the floor. When I bought it, it already had paint on it that I've never been able to entirely get off. A little bit of white paint right there. It doesn't have particularly interesting grain. It's actually cracked. I know the camera won't likely pick that up, but it's cracked all along there, not all the way through the bowl. Maybe it does. You can probably see that. It's just a little hairline crack. This was another one of those pipes I picked up and rehabbed that was just filthy dirty. This was just the whole stem was just orange, bright sulfur orange. The bowl had paint on it. It was just black. It had been possibly the reason it's cracked. It's obviously been dropped a lot. It's got little dents in it too. But this was just totally full of char. You couldn't have put a cigarette down in there. I don't know how the guy was smoking it. I've had several pipes that were like that when I got them, and of course I cleaned them up. And this pipe clenches really well for me. It just fits, and I like the way it looks too. This is the pipe that changed my mind about bulldogs. I never cared for that shape. I didn't like the diamond shank. Now I do. One of these days I'm going to make a little nose warmer bulldog. I've been drawing up pipe designs. I like it. So I'll definitely be keeping that one out. Oh yeah, here we go. One more. So this is actually what I throw in my backpack or on the seat of my truck. And I've had this, I think it was a little purse. It had a very thin, long strap that I cut off. My mom sent this to me probably in 2004 maybe, and I've been using it as a pipe bag since then. It kind of looks like pig hide, but I'm not totally sure about that. Anyway, I keep pipe cleaners in the back pouch. I can just put a slight bend in them and put them in there and they don't kink. This pouch on the front here is where I keep my lighter, or lighters. I always carry two, and a tamper or three. This is the tamper I primarily use, 4570 casing antler, and that's where these guys go to. And there's usually, I can fit up to 4 pipes in here depending on what they are. Typically I carry 2, and what's in here right now is my old Peterson pipe. I've done some research on Peterson trying to figure out when this pipe is from, and honestly I get a little confused after a while. But it says, this is another one that was incredibly dirty when I got it, and just cleaning it off and smoking it, and whoever else smoked it and handled it for many years has nearly rubbed off all the stampings. Anyway, it says, I can't quite read all of it, but it says Peterson, a Peterson product made in Ireland. It has the number 6, I believe, on there. And then on the other side it says Shamrock, and it's got the little stampings on the silver stem. I think it's from the 60s, but I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong about a lot of things, and I certainly have been. But anyway, it's got beautiful grain. Big pit right there. But the grain is just absolutely amazing. I know that just the light's not great. Never is when I'm making videos, it seems. But it's got little striations that go across the grain, and it's just incredible. And in fact, I can feel them. This wood is so worn, I can feel the grain. Anyway, that was another one of those that was so full you couldn't have put a cigarette in there. And I'll definitely be keeping that out. And then, oh, that's a lot of wind. I don't know if that shows up or not, but this is a pipe I picked up last summer. And I was doing a bit of research trying to figure out who made it, where it was made. I mean, I know where it was made, in England it says. What time period it was made in, and I kind of opened a can of worms with that one. There is so much information about this company that BBB, apparently people think it stands for Britain's Best Briars, but I guess it originally stood for Bloomfield's Best Briars. And the company was opened in, I think, in the mid-1840s originally. I'll have to look this information up again, I don't remember clearly. But it says own make, and it's got the diamond BBB stamp between own and make, and then it says Thornycroft and made in England, and it says 130 on the stem. And once again, I think this one was made in the 60s, but I might be mixing up my information. There are so many different stamps, and the Thornycroft line was made for a number of years. The ravens are really going nuts over there. Anyway, this is an excellent smoking pipe. I didn't actually smoke it all that much this winter. This is one of my favorite clenching and walking pipes. It's at just the right angle. Oh, anyway, and the draw is wonderful. This is one that I didn't have to re-drill at all. But those two pipes are the Peterson and the Thornycroft are typically in my little pipe bag. And that's it for pipes. That's all I was smoking all winter. And I didn't actually smoke all that much most of the winter. There were a few weeks there where I smoked like a champ, but most of the time it wasn't even every day. But I tend to smoke more in the summertime anyway. I'll show you one other thing here. This is an old, nearly worn out butcher knife that I picked up for, I think it was $1. Of course it's got a lot of life left in it, but obviously this hollowed out area used to be quite a bit wider. This would have been a straight line from here to about right there before it went upswept, so it's had a lot sharpened off of it. It says hammer forged, made in USA. Someone really liked this knife, I think, because when the handle, I'm guessing the handle got loose, they typically do, they modified it themselves. And this is a square head bolt and nut that have been peened and then ground down so as not to be sharp on the hand. And then this is a little washer with a flathead screw going through it, and then another nut on there that's been ground down. Of course, the handle on the handle scale on this side's got a little heartwood in it, which makes it kind of interesting. But the other thing about this knife is that the blade is actually quite thick for this style of butcher knife. Anyway, it's quite sturdy, very comfortable handle. It's actually very, very wide, so it doesn't cramp the hand at all. And this is pretty much the only thing I've used for a kitchen knife, and I've done some butchering with it over the winter. It just has style, you know. Somebody used the heck out of this knife and obviously went to great pains and scrounging to keep a good tight handle on it, and sharpened it well, probably for many years. This blade holds an edge very well. And it's just, I don't use a cutting board anymore. My tiny little cabin is just one more thing I felt like I didn't need. So when I'm cutting stuff, I hold it. And this shape, this little hollowed out area there, makes it really nice for cutting things up, vegetables and whatnot. So, but anyway, this knife has just a kind of grace that's achieved by use over a long period of time, just like this pipe does. You know, there's just something special about them. They've conformed to the hand of the user a bit. So anyway, it's enough of my rambling, and I've taken up enough of your time. Timber Drifter here. Take care.